Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Hot Mic. I'm Bill Whittle, and we just got finished talking with James O'Keefe. And just before we came back, you heard NRA President Wayne LaPierre saying, join this organization. It's here to defend your rights. And as it turns out, it's not just here to defend your Second Amendment rights. We're in this fight for the First Amendment right now, and it's really starting to get interesting out there. And by interesting, I mean finally good for our side. So let's just talk briefly about what all this means. What does it all mean? We've been saying that there's been press bias, media bias, forget the whole pop culture, that's something else. But that the information the American people have been getting has been poisoned by selection. Overrepresenting bad stories for Republicans, not presenting any bad stories for Democrats. They've poisoned the information well. And we've been making this claim forever. Well, now James O'Keefe and others have come up with video evidence that admits that not only do they do it, they know they do it. So they know that they're producing false news, and that aspect of it is over. I was on talking with Grant Stinchfield this morning. I make an appearance on his show every morning, and it's big fun for me. I really enjoy it. And Grant made a very interesting point. If we were going to prove libel against the mainstream media, what would we have to prove? Well, the first thing we'd have to prove would be intent. We'd have to prove that they were not only lying, because you can lie by accident. You can honestly portray information that turns out to be false, and that's not really lying. In fact, it's not lying at all. So we'd have to prove that they were promoting false information and knowing it. I think that's what these James O'Keefe videos just did. Secondly, we'd have to prove malice. We'd have to prove that this lying was intentional. Boy, you're going to spend 4.5 years proving malice on the part of the mainstream media. When CNN gives Hillary Clinton one of the debate questions for the debate that CNN is holding, and the reporters openly mock Donald Trump in front of their colleagues, and technical difficulties keep cutting off conservatives the minute they start getting some traction. That seems a pretty good case for malice for me. And then, as Grant pointed out, there's one more hurdle that you'd have to clear if you were going to really stick it to these people, and that is you'd have to prove harm. In other words, yes, what you said about me is a lie. Yes, what you said about me was a lie, and you knew it was a lie. And yes, you lied about me intentionally out of malice, but did you harm me? Did you harm me? So where's the harm in this media bias? Where is it? Well, back in 2004, a guy named Evan Thomas was the associate editor of Newsweek magazine. And Evan Thomas got a chance to talk off the record a little bit and basically said something I've always found very, very interesting. There he is. Evan Thomas, in an interview, said we're openly pulling for John Kerry. We have magazine covers calling them the Sunshine Boys, and Dick Cheney is a cold Wyoming night, and John Edwards is a warm walk in the sunlight, all the rest of the stuff. But he said one thing that is absolutely essential. This is from the associate editor of Newsweek, who'd been in the business all his life. In 2004, Evan Thomas said that he thought that press bias was good for 15 points at the polls. 15 points at the polls. Now, if you take 15 points away from John Kerry, those votes go to George Bush. And so, as a little rule of thumb, I did a little experiment. We know that this was 15 points for John Kerry. I could strongly make the case that media bias is much, much worse than it was then. They weren't particularly in love with John Kerry, but Barack Obama and Madam President, are you kidding me? But let's just take Evan Thomas, Newsweek editor, at his word, and agree that 15 points at the polls is what this media bias costs us. If you take a look at the electoral map from 2008, and you pull 15 points away from Barack Obama, that's the media bias. If you take the media bias out of it, I don't remember the exact numbers, but McCain wins with 503 electoral votes, like something like that. I think Obama carries D.C. and Delaware, something like that. If you look at the electoral map for 2012 and you pull 15 points away from Barack Obama, and they go to the Republican, because essentially it's a two-party race, then it is a Republican landslide. The entire map is red. And if you do it with Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, it's blood red all across the map everywhere. And that blood, ladies and gentlemen, is the blood of our republic, which is being bled away by people who are peddling us the truth, when in known fact, they're not peddling us truth at all. They're peddling us lies. They know they're lies, and they keep repeating them because they think that their political philosophy trumps your ability to know. And I use that word very, very advisedly. It trumps your ability to know. Well, guess what, CNN? You've been trumped yourself, not just by the admissions and the revelations of your false news, but you've been trumped by a president who finally, among Republicans, finally understands how all this works. He understands how this game is played. He understands that the left is fighting dirty, that they're never going to give him a break, and they're never going to play fair. just a couple days ago, we were talking about the fact that there are sometimes press briefings in the White House where the cameras are turned off at President Trump's instruction. And the reporters are having a meltdown. Why are the cameras off, Sean? Why are the cameras off? Why don't we turn the cameras on, Sean? Why don't we have the cameras on? And the press is having a hysteric fit about it. And again, it was Grant Stinchfield pointed it out to me. I hadn't figured it out. But the reason that President Trump decided to turn the cameras off in the press conference is because without pictures, a press conference is not interesting news. He's media savvy enough to understand that if the cameras are rolling and Sean Spicer, look, if you speak for a living all day, sooner or later you're going to see something that you would have regretted or maybe you wanted to put differently. It's not a lie. You just trip on something. He realized that with these daily press conferences and every single one of them being ambushes, he had either the wisdom or the instincts or both to say, okay, sure, we'll still talk to the press. We're going to do our duty and reply to the press. We're just not going to do it with the cameras on. So it's not newsworthy. It's not TV newsworthy. He's got them. He's got them absolutely stuck. And their credibility is going faster than a southbound Edsel off a northbound train. And we're here to keep track of it. We're here to be a part of it as we were today. We're here to recommend guys like James O'Keefe and to thank you for being with us today. This is Bill Whittle's Hot Mic, and we will see you tomorrow.